I don't like roguelikes or roguelites. I've tried, but none of them makes me want to play until the end. And that's a lie. Dead Cells I got to the end, but the end is 1/3 of the game complexity, so there's a lot there that I didn't do. I've tried to play Hades. The story is cool, but the runs are too long, and for me it's very frustrating to be on the perfect run, die to Hades, come back from the beginning, and have to spend another 1 hour to get to Hades, so I never killed him. I like to feel like I'm progressing, not just in my skill as a player, but the game's character as well. Dead Cells for me is the almost perfect roguelite. I would enter the game, play a run, and leave satisfied, but I never try to complete everything in Dead Cells. It never made me want to complete it, but one game changed everything. I'm Skypper, and today we're going to talk about Cult of the Lamb. So subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive new videos. Cult of the Lamb feels like a game that was made for me. It takes inspiration from some games and cartoons that I really like and mix it all up. The management part is Frostpunk, the roguelite part is Dead Cells, the aesthetics is Over the Garden Wall and Gravity Falls. It's perfect. I was a sheep that was about to be killed, but an entity called me. She would lend me her power with only one condition: I would have to release her. I accept the deal, was reborn from death and left to take revenge on the 4 entities that killed me and that are responsible for the prison of the entity that helps me. But for me to get stronger, I needed to set up a cult. After all, it's the only way to strengthen the crown that gives me power. Cult of the Lamb has a simple story, a revenge story that won't question the morality of revenge. I didn't really realize it was a revenge story until I was writing the script. The game has a light atmosphere, although it has all that demonic aesthetic, and after this introduction you meet Ratal and he will guide you through the tutorial. The combat is the simplest thing in the game. It's Dead Cells but top down and with fewer items. The ship has a melee weapon and special crown abilities. The weapon can be swords, claws and even axes, although this last one don't work well for the speed of this game. They are very slow but do a lot of damage. The specials can be an explosion, a shot, a super sword, but they are linked to the fervor, which is collected from dead enemies. And to escape enemies' attacks, there's a dodge. It's a very simple combat, but since he's always introducing new things, like new skills or variations of melee weapons like freezing or poison, it never gets boring. The structure of these games also helps a lot of this. The runs are short, around 15 minutes or so. After you get past the initial part of the run, the game shows you a map, and on that map you can choose which area you want to go through. If you need stone, select the area of the stone. If you need life, go with life. But this is always put as a choice. But in the end, it will funnel and go to the boss. There's no way to go back, just forward. Resources, people, life, secret locations, combat locations, but instead of earning money, you earn food. It has several variations, and this helps a lot in the management of the cult. After all, if I need a specific thing, I can try to go straight to it. It helped me a lot to get wood, since at certain points of the game, my wood was 0, so I went straight to the wood areas. There are also areas that contribute more to the game's lore, which is pretty cool. There are 4 biomes in total, 3 doors you need to open. The first door is already open. The others you need a specific number of people in the cult. Nothing too high, at no time the game stops me, it was always very natural for me. Only at the end I had to run after 3 members because for the final battle you need 20, so it's not that much. Inside the biome you need to kill 4 bosses to release a new run, whose final boss will be one of the entities. One cool thing is that the entities get in your way on your journey. They don't passively watch you destroying their entire area. And there is also no giant run, it's like 15 minutes mini runs to get to the boss and kill the boss, so there's no such frustration on spending more than an hour on a run and losing everything. If the player completes the run, returns to the cult with all resources. If dies, has a penalty and the player loses some things. I played on normal and find it easy. I died about 5 and 6 times in the whole game. For those who like challenge, I recommend increasing the difficulty. Throughout your runs, you recruit animal people into the cult. It's really cool to see new people coming and they start interacting. I even arrived at my cult once and saw people kissing. I thought it was really cool. These people will work to help the community, be it collecting wood, picking stone, praying to you, and even farming. There aren't many options, but I think they are enough for what the game proposes. But I miss having a list that shows what each person is doing. That way it would be easier to manage. But I noticed that no one stays still, but I never know which job is occupied or not. After all, my screen doesn't fit everything. It even has a list of information about the followers, but it only showed age, faith, level, hunger, does not have the place where they work. The most important thing, the game doesn't have it. I wish there was a little more automation as the game progressed. For example, I always had to cook for the people, otherwise everyone would starve. But this also creates an interesting dilemma, because while you're on the run, your cult continues. Nothing stops, which creates a cost-reward dilemma. Is it worth spending more time in a run trying to collect more things if the cult is falling apart? In addition to hunger, the player has to deal with faith and sanitary conditions. Sanitary conditions is just cleaning the place or building toilets. I recommend doing this quickly to prevent cult members from getting sick too often. And faith is the player popularity. It goes down over time, but if you do things your cult doesn't like, faith goes down faster. And if it's too low, a member of your cult may rise up and start preaching against you. I had a sad story. My first husband decided that he would revolt against me, against the cult, spreading lies to my members. So I had to arrest him and feed him with flesh from a dead member for him to return and follow the ways of my faith. It worked. Actually, I always did that, and it always worked. I didn't lose anyone from my cult because of lack of faith. I must be a good leader. There's a church in the cult, and it can be used for a few things. Is it possible to deliver sermons that drain energy from members? This energy is used to unlock new weapons and specials in runs. So the more people in your cult, the faster you unlock new stuff. Followers with more level also give more energy. In some runs, you also collect pieces of stone from commandments. When you have 3, it's possible to apply a doctrine. Cult of the Lamb tries to replicate that feeling of passing laws in Frostpunk, where you have to choose between a bad decision and a hard one. But I feel that the dilemma is not that strong. It always seemed to me that I had the choice I wanted, just the opposite of the disgrace that is Frostpunk. So if you decide you're going to play without being an asshole with your cult, you can. One thing I thought would bother me is the fact that followers die. After all, I need them to advance to next areas. But it's so easy to gain new followers, death wasn't an issue. But I could lose a person with high level. Even the people I needed to sacrifice, whether to improve the faith of my cult or for some mission, or even because the person asks me to be the sacrifice, I could always bring them back. I've never been weighed down by something I've done for my cult. People might find this lightness bad, but honestly, I like the contrast of a demonic game being lighthearted, but you can be the bloodthirsty leader if you want. There is even an interaction that the little ships kills one of the cult participants. This option did not exist in my game, precisely because of the dogmas of my cult. These dogmatic choices are always binary, but it's not necessarily a good or a bad choice, but something that would be good depending on the cult leader you want to be. It's really very well balanced. When I was going to approve these dogmas, there were some that didn't make any sense for my game and others that were just what I needed. There are also rituals, some unlocked by story and other by the commandments. That of reviving people is one of the first. I recommend upgrading the improvement that makes rituals cheaper and the other one that loads faster. Rituals can't be used all the time. Most of them need bones and the revive one costs 150. It was like 3 runs to get someone to revive. The upgrades cuts that in half. And the main thing that I haven't mentioned is the building and updating system. There's a statue of the ship in the center of the cult. The followers use this statue to pray. This generates devotion. It is used to unlock new buildings, church upgrades, building upgrades, decorations, and more. The toilet I had mentioned before is one of the improvements. The farm to put a follower looking after the plants is another. There are several improvements. In addition to the cult, there is still a world map with other regions. I won't mention them because spoilers, but in one of them there's a game where you bet the game's coin. And like every betting game, I thought I could get rich, but when the game decides you're going to lose, you are going to lose. It's even interesting how the game works, with some of dices between columns. I felt smart playing until the game made me lose a few times in a row, and I felt like a sucker. Then I didn't go back to play, but it's pretty fun. There's a lot hidden in these other areas of the map, but for me the progression was so natural, it didn't feel like a hidden thing, but a natural part of the game, which just goes to show that the pacing of Cult of the Lamb is wonderful. Oh, and there's also a button to speed up the game while you are at the cult. You know why I left that for the end of the video? Because I only found out when I had about 20 hours. There are other minor mechanics, but I don't want to spoil everything, although I've talked a lot here. The copy of this game was provided by Devolver Digital. I did almost everything in 25 hours. There's only one thing I haven't done yet, and I don't know how to do it. I've played before launch, so I can't ask anyone, and there's no tutorial on the internet. The only way is to wait. I also had some stutterings, especially when the day starts. Nothing bothered me, and the floor decorations were buggy. That bothered me. I imagine that the day 1 patch will solve this. So did you like this video? Leave your like, subscribe and activate the bell to receive new videos. And click here to watch my video about Resident Evil 4 VR. I'm Skypper and I see you in the next video. Bye!